Welcome back and hello gamers and YouTubers. Today I want to take a look at Ascension's new kind of is it a classic-y World of Warcraft server, and that is Bronzebeard, which will be releasing on October 3rd, which is tomorrow at the time of this video being posted. And the release time for the US will be, I believe, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they do have the launch countdown and time of release over on their official website and Discord. And all I want to do is give just a little peek into it. I've only leveled through the first couple zones and a couple different characters because all characters are going to be wiped after the beta, and I really don't want to spoil my own excitement and hype when the server does go live. And one of the great things is without even leveling far, I've already seen a lot of custom content. So I want to give my early opinion, show you what a revamped Northshire looks like, and talk a bit about different things that players have asked and are just kind of curious about for the server. So what is Bronzebeard? This is going to be Ascension's take on a more classic gameplay for World of Warcraft instead of their typical classless wildcard system that they're most known for. And I could go into more, but this video is not about their classless server. No, today we look at their newest World of Warcraft server, Bronzebeard Warcraft Reborn. And at the beginning, they were really pushing hard into the marketing by calling it a Classic Plus server. But here recently, they decided to take a little step back and kind of change around their motto to a new type of Classic Plus. So yes, the full name of the game is now Bronzebeard Warcraft Reborn, a new type of Classic Plus. And to be honest, a new look at Classic with some slight retail vibes, updated modern graphics, class balanced new items, Classic Plus kind of content all mixed together. Yeah, that actually sounds pretty good. One thing that a lot of players are wondering is this really gonna feed that vibe for Classic or Classic Plus that a lot of players have now that Season of Discovery has come to an end? Well, to achieve what most players feel is labeled as Classic Plus, you need to first stick to the vanilla game. The reason for this is most fans of Classic want the game to be in and about Azeroth. But on top of that, players really want more. We want new items and quests. We want additional zones to explore and level in. We want new custom content. We want to be in that familiar game that we love and have things that will encourage us to still go out and explore, because in a Classic Plus environment, we know that there's new things out there waiting for us. Because all people really want to do is go to those areas, see new NPCs, see new quest hubs, towns, caves, various places to explore and once again become immersed in the world. And to address this type of thing, they had a Q&A yesterday, and they're having one again today, and they addressed some of these topics. They were asked, will there be new armors and mounts, or will the only new ones be those in the store? Which a lot of people hate the fact that they have a store. But anyways, they're also wondering if there'll be equipment. And they first stated that there will be no gear available in the store. The dev said this, the lead dev Dutch. And they went on to say that there are many new pieces of armor, weapons, and mounts out in the world, which you can get from running different things like raids, dungeons, or by completing some of the in-game challenges. And the second thing that I feel that a lot of Classic Plus fans really want is they want all of this new stuff to be done, but keep a very horizontal method of progression. One of the big hangups with some players was that Bronzebeard said that it was going to be a progressive server that will reimagine the game's original trilogy, meaning the original plan was to release vanilla first, with some new items and content, then eventually move on like Blizzard did to TBC and then on to Wrath of the Lich King, which that's what Blizzard's doing with Classic right now, and people are just kind of tired of that. And one of the big things that people dislike is the fact that, the Burning Crusade completely pulls you out of Azeroth, and for the most part, all of its content makes the rest of the world just void and empty. And the release of each expansion also causes a huge vertical leap in progression and power. This is why most look at Classic Plus as a what-if scenario. What if this didn't happen? Or what if these events did happen, but can we do it in a different way? And one thing that I heard in the Q&A is that they said that nothing is yet set in stone. Yes, the original idea was to eventually move it into TBC and Wrath, but they are also looking at the idea of using the huge amount of assets they have to explore other options. And the devs stated directly that their goal is to add more to the vanilla world. Right now, that is their main focus. And doing this, they want to do that by adding in new dungeons, quests, items, and just build on the vanilla experience for their player base. They talked about adding more areas, new dungeons, and using parts of the world that weren't used or weren't available to players at the beginning of vanilla. And they're not in any rush to get through things. I mean, let's be honest, the vanilla content part of Bronzebeard is going to probably last at least a year, if not longer. And that's before they even start moving into the TBC content. And by that time, they may go in a much different direction and find ways to add new things, you know, maybe bring in Karazhan without linking it to any of the Burning Crusade content. So there's really a lot of paths that the devs could take. And they already said that it's something that they're seriously looking into, and it's very much open for discussion. So for now, you know, it's about adding new content to the classic world, and let's hope that they keep the level cap at 60, filter in new content, rework things, reimagine how you could do TBC and Wrath of the Lich King, and that's actually something that's really exciting, and it very much does fit under the idea of Classic Plus. You know, Classic Plus, but they're taking it one step further. During the Q&A, they did address these things, and they said that there are plans for new custom and backported content in the form of dungeons and additional raids. And maybe the best thing that I heard is when they were asked about how they're going to progress into TBC and Wrath, the question said, you know, will you transition Bronzebeard to TBC Wrath or keep it vanilla with added content? And their answer was that this really depends on the demand and what the community wants. There's the possibility to just keep expanding vanilla or even keeping a vanilla realm open when we do transition into TBC. Nonetheless, vanilla progression will not be rushed at all. There is a lot of content planned. And in the Q&A, they just continued to talk about more things and how they want to focus on open world content being the most important part. Things like the infinite dungeon system, which is known as, I believe, the Mana Storm, which comes from their seasonal realm. They made it clear that this and no other system like it will ever be part of Bronzebeard. They further went on to say that yes, you can queue for BGs and get experience, but that will be just lowered, you know, just a little bit, but still be decent for leveling, but it's not going to be as good as going out, questing, and running world content. And maybe one of the best things I see that they're doing to really keep a focus on the open world is by changing the Wrath of the Lich King's version of the Dungeon Finder into what they call the Random Dungeon Finder. They were asked a lot of different questions about this in the Q&A, and pretty much this was their answer. They said that yes, there is a Dungeon Finder, but with changes. There's only the Random Dungeon Finder, the RDF, while leveling, so you can't snipe specific dungeons. If you want something specific, you need to form a party and run there. There is no experience from completing anything in the Random Dungeon Finder. Instead, the experience has all been spread out across the bosses. There's not going to be a satchel of bonus gear if you use the Looking for Group system. Dungeons do not scale if you run to them, which means that it's going to keep it vanilla based if you go on your own and run in. It's only going to have level scaling if you use the Random Dungeon Finder. And everything they said about the Dungeon Finder makes me feel like, you know, they're focused and going in the right direction once again. With those changes to the game's Dungeon Finder, players are still going to form groups through maybe the LFG add-on or through guild or other channels. They're going to put things together, they're going to form their own groups, and they're going to run over to the dungeon. And this is really what most classic players want, you know, forcing the best way to level to be going out into the world, because if not, you're just going to end up with a world where everyone stands around in the capital cities, spams their group finders, then they stand around, they wait for that next dungeon or BGQ to pop, and we know we don't want that because that's pretty much what retail's like now. So yeah, overall though, I was pretty on the fence at first when I got my beta key, then I logged in, I saw the modern graphics, the modern character customization, I logged in the world, I felt how smooth the client was, and then pretty much at the very start, I saw custom content, items, and quests. And oh, did I mention that world mobs have been reworked? They have speed and different power attacks, increasing their combat difficulty. Now, mages, They seem more like mages. Ranged characters should be able to take them out, but melee may have a little bit of problem trying to get to them. If you see a mob with a dagger, he's going to attack faster, which is going to cause more knockback while casters are trying to cast their spells. Mobs with large two-hand weapons, guess what? They're going to hit harder, but they're also going to hit slower. And again, I saw new content at the very start. There were, rewards, quests. There was a whole new quest area, and there's even a mini boss with a really neat boss mechanic. And all of this was found before I even left Northshire Abbey. And one of the neatest additions is what they call the RPG gear, and it's new custom gear. And they stated that all humanoid creatures in the world drop their gear. The only exception is civilian NPCs like vendors, and that's so that you don't grief them if you're trying to kill them for their cloth or their leather. So any of the mobs out there, the Defias, different soldiers, anything that's a humanoid will have a chance of dropping a green item, which is going to directly reflect the exact gear that they are wearing. I think that is really neat. You can go out and farm, you can collect your transmog, and it seems like there's just so much out there. And on top of that, oh my god, what is this? This is world forged items. There are items spread out all over the world for players to find. Some sit out in easy to find places like, this food here, or this 6-slot bag just before you head into Elwyn. But other items are going to be spread out in caves and questing areas, and some are well off the beaten path. So you're going to be encouraged to explore every zone fully each time you get to a new area. And as simple as this is, and a lot of the items aren't all that great, it's still something really cool, and it adds an RPG mechanic to World of Warcraft. And hell, even if you can't use them, you're collecting transmog while you're getting them, and you're getting some high price vendor trash. And speaking of transmog, yes, there is transmog. The only problem I have right now with it is the fact that they are going to have an item called the Vanity Sync. You will be able to purchase that on the store, and if you play on their other seasonal realms or Area 52, you're going to be able to link all your vanity items, which are going to be, your mounts and all of your transmog, and you're going to be able to grab that right away. Now, I want to see transmog in Classic, but I also think that, it should just be fresh for all of us at the very beginning. It is what it is. This is the system they have right now. You can turn all transmog off, but again, I want to see transmog, so for now, I'm just going to keep it on. But there was a question brought up about that, and I like the answer that they gave. They were asked, is it possible to have a middle ground transmog setting? An example would be keep armor and transmog shown for everyone, but hide some of the crazy effects like wings, because this person thought it just was over the top. And Dutch, the lead developer, said, I'd definitely like to provide a more granular options in the future, such as having a classic versus modern option for transmog. It is on the table. So yeah, after running around, playing a couple characters, checking out some of the starting zones, overall, this sounds like it could be something really great. Yes, there's going to be a cash shop. There's going to be vanity items. There's going to be things that are going to speed up the game, but most of these, like the heirlooms and stuff, are not even going to be available at launch. They're going to be something added in later so that it can be more of a catch-up mechanic. You can also turn off all experience buffs for your character, so if you have someone in your group who has a group-wide experience buff through potions, you can go ahead and shut that off. And also all the things that you can buy in the store, for the most part, are going to be bought in-game as well with gold. So if somebody does acquire certain things, they can put those on the auction house. So to wrap it all up, what does Bronzebeard offer? Well, it offers a new adventure in the classic world that we love. There's more combat and gaming depth with new mechanics and difficulty, a rich classic experience. There's new and unique balancing for all 9 original classes. They are going to be bringing in TBC and Wrath talents, and these are going to be in a system that's very similar to the runes of Season of Discovery. We have new race combinations like Troll Druids and Warlocks, Undead Paladins and Hunters, Tauren Paladins, Orc Mages, Blood Elf Warriors. Oh yeah, I forgot. Blood Elves and Draenei are definitely in Bronzebeard. Then you have your Human Hunters, Gnome Priests, and then Shamans and Mages for our Dwarven friends. Immersive loot drops. You can actually get the clothing that the mobs are wearing. There's new quests, Crafting is expanded with the addition of crafting gear upgrades. And really, to sum it all up, they state directly on their webpage that they balance the core classic WoW experience with purposeful enhancements. While innovations and updates are abundant, they serve the gameplay's depth and authenticity. Players that are seeking the purest classic experience will find that familiar gameplay is going to be deeply respected. And while those looking for something fresh will find substantial, meaningful additions without losing the game's original magic. And with all that, yeah, I think this is going to be something very exciting to check out at launch, which is tomorrow. If you're watching this video later, the launch was on October 3rd. Hopefully you guys made it there. And, let's just hope that this launch goes better than Epoch. But anyways, yeah, everybody stay safe, and I will see you all in the next video.